This is it, my most hotly anticipated video of all time, the Should You EX Macherie video. Now, I'm not even kidding, I'm actually super pumped for this video. There's so many interesting things we have to look at, and Macherie was actually one of the first 99s that I ever got. So I figured out pretty early that her TMR is insane, one of the best in the game, but the unit needed some work. She's a super confused unit that's split between far too many roles: physical damage, magic attacking, healing, status ailment recovery, all sorts of things that she doesn't excel at any of them. So with these changes, maybe she's going to be competitive. So let's find out whether or not you should EX. Thank you as always to warofthevisionscalc.com for the information used in this video. So we've got our EX Awakening materials, and I am at an impasse here because I am out of blossoms. So I need to either wait to EX Macherie, or I've got to spend some moolah, and I'm kind of considering it because I don't actually really spend that much, and I make money off of YouTube off doing videos, so I could spend it on Macherie, and then that would be my gift to myself, obviously, but then to you, because I'll make videos on Macherie, and you can enjoy me being successful, or maybe not successful. I guess we'll find out. So taking a look at Macherie's stats, at level 99, she didn't have too much going for her. She was a release unit, so her stats are kind of low, but even for a release unit, her stats were low. So low HP, AP was one positive note, and then a low attack when she has attacking scaling skills on her main job, including an attack scaling limit burst. And her limit burst is insane if you haven't seen it. So it's an attack scaling skill that increases her single target resistance by 45%. That's a huge boost. She's never going to use it. Her magic wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great. And then her luck was just so low. Dexterity was a problem, and agility wasn't that great either. So really, she needed a lot of work. She gets those bonuses in EX job. So you can see a big boost to HP. Now, there was some comment about it not being high HP. It is. She has the third highest HP for a mage in Japan for her kind of role. So Helena, a 120 unit, has more HP than her, and Luelle, who's a tanky mage, has more HP than Macherie, and then no other EX mage in JP has more HP than Macherie does. So she gets a decent amount of HP. She gets a huge amount of attack. Not that that's going to make a huge difference in my eyes, but she does get a magic boost. Now, her magic isn't actually that high, but we have some ways of boosting it. That would be our main concern right now. Then her dexterity and luck, they kind of just get upgraded to regular 99 UR levels, but they're serviceable. They're definitely better. And then here's the big whopping change: the 66 agility, 8 agility from her board stat. That means that her master ability that gives 15% agility, that's not going to help that give you any more because it's not a base stat. But 8 agility is something that we can't forget about. It's a really big deal. It actually makes her faster than some of these other EX units, and we'll go take a look at some comparisons in just a little bit. So we're taking a look now at her EX abilities, and there's some pretty good ones. Calamity Guard is going to become instant cast. It's also going to be an AoE, and it's going to cure Slow, Berserk, and Frostbite. And if you don't know about Frostbite, it's coming up eventually. It is a new status ailment that stops you from recovering AP, and it is also going to buff magic by 40% for all targets, and then increase Macherie's healing power for 30% for self. So if she uses this on other people, she can heal them and boost their magic up, but then her healing power, her own healing power, is actually going to increase. And for those of you that thought Ayaka's healing power increase was not that big a deal, people were disappointed, saying like that's such a weird thing to put on a passive. Well, if you've watched my video of my Guild Wars, you can see that that is actually 30% healing power is a really big deal, and it's even more important for Macherie because she has the original Aeon Bond. She has Auto Cure. It's the same potency, but it's a lower chance to proc. Now, Aeon Bond gives you even more healing power on top of that. Auto Cure is not going to, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to be a really awesome counter whenever it does go off. So this skill is really solid. The fact that they gave it so much is a big deal. The problem is that Macherie is going to want to cast this on like everybody, and it's all about switching off of doing this and doing something productive. So next up, Spirit level 1 is pretty simple. It gives you 15 defense, and this is going to be a theme that Macherie can stack defense and Spirit. We're going to go into depth into that. And then finally, she gets a new skill called Overlay, which is a 26 AP, 165 mod for use, 100% hit attack. That's pretty cool, and it actually is going to increase spirit penetration by 50% for this specific attack. Then it's going to increase her own defense by 15 and her own spirit by 15. So she's going to end up having 30 defense and 30 spirit, not including any other contributing factors. So this is kind of showing you the direction they're going to go with Macherie, that she might not have as high a magic stat as other mages, but she is going to have way more bulkiness, way more survivability, and that's kind of interesting. Now, of course, I'm always going to show you whether or not you should go to 120, maybe you should go to 150, and I'm just going to say right now, Macherie needs her 120 ability. If you're going to invest in her, go all the way. However, looking at the stats, we're kind of telling the same thing here. Look at HP, we get 300 HP, that's significant. We're going to get 71 magic, 33 of that is base magic, and that means when you equip the magic up level 1, that's actually gonna net you another, I think it rounds down though, so 9 more magic. Every little bit counts. So definitely worth it for the stats. The agility doesn't change, so that's one thing, but overall here, when you're looking at the difference between 115 and 120, I think it's overwhelmingly in favor, again, if you're going to raise her, that you go all the way to 120. Next up, I'm going to show some hypothetical builds for Macherie, and we kind of decide, how viable is she going to be. I'm putting her resistances here at the top because they suck, and that's important to remember that they do suck. So first up, we're going to talk about a defense build. So this is 30 defense and 30 spirit assumed from the spirit up level 1 and from overlay if you're able to cast that skill. Now you could put the Golem Esper on her for another 15 defense. You would also get 25% man killer, and that's going to be important to help her keep some damage when she's losing some magic from not equipping a magic Esper. You would also get some pierce resist, and that's nice as well, although it's not as relevant right now. We could go Plat Robe for another 18 defense, her own Tiamar, because I think that's going to be a really great healing option to give shields. And then you could go Carbuncle, the VC, because that gives you another 10 defense bestowed and 8 spirit party attack. When you put this all together, and we're not counting guild statues and element mastery bonuses, that's something that's unique to each player. That's going to give us a 75 defense build with 46 spirit and a 25% pierce resist, up from that negative 10%. Actually, I think that should be 15%, right? I just messed that up. But either way, this is looking pretty good, right? Like, that's a really large amount of defense. It doesn't matter if her resistances suck if she has that much defense. Maybe. Then we could go with the spirit build. So again, we have 30 and 30 starting. Bahamut's going to give us 15 magic resist, and that we're using that Esper because it gives her a ton of firepower, agility, all sorts of great stuff. We're also using Galmia Coat because again, she has lower magic, she needs the extra magic, and it does give 18 spirit. Then we'll use her own Tiamar once again, and the Carbuncle card for the 10 defense and the 8 spirit. Altogether, we get a 45 defense build and a 60 spirit build, and her magic resist goes up to 25%. So this looks really good at taking on units that are dealing magic or like magic based damage, or specifically magic attack type damage, and you would still be okay against surviving physical hits because you have 45 defense. So this all looks really good, right? Well, we have units that are able to pierce through defense. So Titus can get through 20% of your defense. If he attacks our defense Macherie, he's going to ignore 15 of that defense, plus she has a bad slash resist. Then we have 2B, which will ignore 30 defense off of that total, and Oron's going to ignore 45 defense off of Macherie's total. So the reason I'm showing you this, I know that you might not face these units necessarily every match, it's that defense penetration is very common. I could have used other units as examples, like Dwayne, I could have used somebody like Elda. There's tons of units with defense penetration, and if Macherie's stacking defense, then that's just more defense for them to shave off. Then the same thing can be said for spirit penetration. So Medina just gets 40 spirit penetration, so that's 24 spirit off of our build. Garvel on his limit burst, for the limit burst specifically, will get a 50% spirit mitigate or penetration, which will be ignoring 30 of Macherie Spirit. And then Luelle gets a passive for 40 spirit penetration and gets another 40 added on for 3 turns from her LB, which is something she uses because it's instant cast. That's an 80% reduction, or not reduction, sorry, by passive spirit, so ignoring 48 spirit from our Macherie Spirit build, and that's a pretty significant amount. So basically this means that Luelle's just going to wreck Macherie if you try to build her as a high spirit unit, and that's definitely something you can worry about, again, because you look up at the top and you look at her resistances, and yes, I didn't note that if you have Carbuncle on, her missile resist is going to be plus 10, but still that's not that high. She needs more. If you have the Plat Robe +5, then you get some more there. I don't. I have a +0, so there's definitely going to be some messing around, but at the same time, stacking the defenses and the spirits, it's not quite as good as stacking resistances, although we are starting to break into the realm of breaking resistances and penetrating through resistances as well. Now for our unit comparisons, I've chosen Medina and I've also chosen Yuna. So the reason I chose Medina is because she's also a launch unit that got an EX job, and then Yuna is kind of a similar auto cure healing unit that can deal damage, has these skills, but Yuna has full life and re-raise. Yuna has better potency skills and a way better LB. So Yuna has a lot going on over Macherie, and you can see both of them have a lot more magic than Macherie does, and Yuna has ways to buff her magic as well, so she can go higher. She's not that much higher, but they have all these other things going on in their kits in order to deal damage, and then Macherie is pretty simple. If you're using her with Black Mage, yes, she's going to have Banishka, and that's really important, but if you're using her in Cleric sub, then you've got just Banish and your new overlay attack, so you're kind of like limiting yourself with your amount of uses, and then you can even look at things like Dexterity and Luck. Medina has Macherie beat for accuracy reasons, but the one thing here that I'm really liking about Macherie, besides the HP, is that she actually gets 66 agility compared to 61 on Medina and 64 on Yuna. Like, that's actually pretty good. So there is some stuff going on for Macherie here, and we just have to find out, can we get that magic up? Are we going to use the magic up 30% passive? Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. But then, are we going to be able to hit her with her own Calamity Guard and give her that 40% magic boost? I hope so, because that's going to make a pretty significant difference. Next up, I'll use two attackers. So obviously Luelle came out recently, and then Helena is our most recent mage. And again, they have much higher magic stats than Macherie does, and they both have either a 30% or 60% magic buff on their kits. It just means that they're going to be much stronger than Macherie is in terms of pure potency. And speaking of that, their skill potencies are better than Macherie's are anyway. I really would have liked to see Macherie get the overlay with a higher potency on there, but at least they gave it 4 casts. That's still pretty important. So the question is, should you EX Macherie? Well, there's a lot of pros and cons. The reason you would, I think there's a pretty good unit here. There's auto cure that's going to be just like Aeon Bond, less likely to happen. Very, very durable. If all of her skills get online, if you're not running into too much penetration, she's going to be particularly good for live PvP and PvE. So tower, anything that has status effects, things in live where you can really control what she's doing, she's going to be so good. Her healing is finally going to be worth it. So one of the things with Macherie is that she would heal really easily. Like, someone lost a little sliver of health and then she's healing, but her healing potency was just garbage. She only had cure. Now she's going to have access to this Carbuncle rejuvenation skill. She had access to Curata with the healing mace, and you can still have that if you want, but the fact that this also raises CT, that's actually really significant. So I think that there's some reasons why she could be successful, particularly in global, but that AI is going to be a problem. So her AI to buff everybody to the 9s instead of attacking, to heal everybody at the slightest bit of damage, to just get stuck in these loops, healing herself and then not attacking and finishing people off. I've experienced it all. I have a Macherie PvP video on my channel if you want to go see it, so you can see for yourself. Her low magic stat and low potency skills are also troublesome, and defense and spirit penetration are the most common types of penetration in the game. The one other thing would be the no AoE heals. That's a little bit of a concern as well. So overall, I have to say no. I think the average player should not EX Macherie. However, I think if you have the resources, then you could have a very fun unit on your hands, and not just fun, but competitive. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's probably going to be a lot of tears, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, here's the great part about EX jobs. You don't have to do this on Wednesday. There's not someone standing behind you, holding a gun to your back saying, EX this character. And if there is, you need to get some help. So you can wait and see what Mysidia does, because I'm going to EX Macherie and then I'm going to show you how it goes. And if it works out really well and it turns out she's a meta unit, then great, you can go EX her yourself, but you're not going to lose any time if you just wait with the blossoms in hand. Maybe you farm some mace tablets this weekend and you're ready to go on Macherie, because her shards are in the guild shop. You can get them whenever you need them. You can go up to 400. I have like 600. That's probably enough, right? So patience is key. The next wave of EX jobs is going to be Wall, and we know that's coming up. Then we're going to have the two coolest MR units. That's right, it's Durando and Schatzelt. Yeah, super excited for that. And then after that, I think, Dwayne's coming at some point. We're also going to see a good EX with Curry. So King Curry is going to get the Frostbite attack. He's going to get a really cool level 120 skill that is like a kind of like a instant haste buff. And then we'll also see Whisper get an EX job and Severo get an EX job. So lots of cool stuff coming up. There'll be videos for all of that. I'm going to do some videos, of course, on Mish and Ramana as soon as I can this week, and then I'll get those up as individual videos. And then otherwise, let's talk about Macherie in the comments. Let's talk about her on my Discord. Lots more people are joining that. And then I'll see you in the next video.